explain what's going to happen tonight. This is our first virtual CareerSmart. First of all, my name is Bonnie Massa. I'm past president and executive director for AMA Chicago. The agenda is going to be pretty much the same as we do with the live CareerSmart. We're going to have two speakers that you want to hear every word they have to say. And then we're going to ask our sponsors for the evening to join our two speakers in a panel, and we're going to have a live Q&A session for as long as you all need to. So as we're going to wait and do all of the questions at the end of the two speakers. So if there's something you'd like to ask Michelle or you want to ask Wayne, please just jot it down, because we want to get it all dealt with at the same time. So we'd appreciate that. And so that's the agenda for the evening. It's pretty simple. So let's step through a few things for those of you who haven't done Zoom before. Sorry. Isn't that all any of us have been doing lately? But first, you'll see at the bottom of your screen that there is a black bar, and there, as you can see circled in red for you, there is a button that's called chat, and that's where you may enter any question that you have. You'll notice in the white box that you see in the screen below the black bar, you see to everyone with a little drop down next to it. If you have a question and you don't want to ask it to everyone, you can hit the drop down bar and send it to hopefully Barb Kalicki, who is going to be our behind the scenes technician tonight, and she's receiving all the questions to then ask to the panel later. Or you can send the question directly to Michelle or directly to Wayne or anybody that you like. So that's what those are for. Okay, then the next instruction that we have, does everybody remember this hysterical event from last year with somebody reporting? I think it was a news program or CNN reporting live when the kid came in. It was hysterical. But this is just to point out to you that we are controlling volume, and we are controlling the fact that you cannot be seen tonight. In case you were wondering why none of your video and audio stuff is working, that's why. Okay, so then, yep, that's me on a sunny day, which we haven't seen in Chicago for a while. So I'm going to step through just a few announcements from AMA Chicago for you, and then we're going to introduce Michelle, and off we go. So, as you know, the vision of our chapter, well, first of all, there's 68 AMA chapters in North America. Chicago's the largest one. And our mission is to make sure that we are the most sought after marketing membership there is in Chicago. And in order to do that, we present a lot of programs like this one. We also have some workshops, how-to, thought leadership, whatever it takes to provide what all of the Chicago area marketers are looking for in terms of community and content. Right now, AMA, our support center, which is the headquarters for all 68 chapters, has reduced the professional membership fee from $300 to $149 while we're all trying to traverse this very difficult and unpredictable employment period. So if you have an interest in joining and you're not a member, boy howdy, here's a good rate right here, $149. It gives you events, most of the events that we have for free. There are only 2 that members pay for, and those are our larger conferences. There are networking opportunities. We have some exclusive content, and Barb, if we go to the next one, there's a couple other things that members get for free, like this Chicago Marketing Directory. We have a directory on our site. If you look on the left side, you'll see an example of it. Chris McGuire slipped me $20 to show him every time we do this. But this is a directory that marketers in Chicago are using to be found for the services they offer. Take a quick look at again, the image on the right. You see there's filter by category. When you get your profile on here, you can list up to 3 different categories of marketing that you work in. So members get this as a free service, and we're not yet offering it to those who aren't members. But we get, and by we I mean board members will get at least a question every 2 weeks from somebody saying, hey Bonnie, could you refer me to a good digital agency? Well, this is how we're going to solve that problem. If there's a kind of marketing service that you're looking for, all you got to do is come to our site and find it. Thanks, Barb. Our next event, which is going to be virtual, is Connects, and it's on May the 13th. It's at 7 o'clock. It's basically our networking event. And at the live Connects, we always have roundtables that are topics that are in the marketing arena, and there's an expert at the table every time, and it's the expert's going to lead a conversation so that we can meet each other as well as meet each of them, and we can learn from each other. And our topics for that night are audio branding, emotional branding, and agile marketing. Next. I want to say thank you to all of our chapter-wide sponsors. These are partners of the chapter that we've had all of this fiscal year. They're the ones that make it possible for us to offer programming to our members at no cost. So a shout out to Lake County Press, Morningstar, Threadline, Video Parachute, Studio North, Question Pro, Organic Headshots. And if you don't have one of those and you're looking for a job, call Organic Headshots. You'll get a discount. Sprout Social, Massa and Company, Gulo, and MacGuffin. So thanks to all you guys. And then tonight we have sponsors for tonight, and you're going to be hearing from most of them. The Creative Group, Brand Your Career, Melinda Holman Associates, and then InfoTrust is our technical sponsor for the night. They're providing us with Zoom, and our smiling Barb Kalicki there on the top list. Okay, next. This is exciting for those of us who have been sweating through this, but AMA Chicago has had a job board on its site for many years, well, since 2013. And we've just started a new job board with a different company that we think is much more progressive. And I'll tell you that you can see in the menu of the image on the right, it says post a job or find a job in the fine print up there on the other side. There you go. So if you're looking for a job, go to our website and find a job and click there. I looked just an hour or so before we started this, and we have 1,777 marketing or sales jobs in Chicago as of tonight. So if you haven't been to our site, you haven't taken a look at this, please do. And as you know, with most of these sites, there's a place for you to put in the type of job or title or so forth that you're looking for. And if you happen to be someone who's looking for employees, and we hope there are more and more of those every week, we're running a special for probably through the entire summer. You can post a job for marketing or sales on our website for $99. If you want to get all the bells and whistles, it gets a little more expensive. But we've got this special introductory offer that'll go on for about 90 days. So I hope each of you will check this out. Okay. Barb, tell us a little bit about InfoTrust, our tech sponsor tonight.
Hey everybody, I'm from InfoTrust. My name is Barbara Kalicki, and I'm a digital analytics consultant. And we are a human-to-human company, not B2B or B2C. And we're dedicated to helping companies make better decisions through data. We also are very involved in the community. We have several campaigns going on right now. We have a campaign to provide masks to medical professionals in the Cincinnati, Chicago area. And we actually have a 3D printing company that's printing up masks. They are not rated N95 because the government hasn't approved that for us to do yet. But we have been handing them out to various places like Walgreens and other stores and other places in Chicago and Cincinnati. We also provide resources to our clients for furlough. If you're on furlough or you need to upskill in your analytics, we are going to have a platform to do that on shortly. We also have a no layoff pledge. So our CEO has gone out and is requesting other companies. We have about 55 companies signed up that they will not lay off employees until at least July. They will keep everybody's job. Nobody will get furloughed. And if you're interested, you can go to infotrust.com and find out more about our no layoff pledge. And we also are curating resources for small businesses. We have a blog post that is for small businesses and small business resources. And you can go also again to infotrust.com, and you'll see we have a COVID-19 resources page where you can go in and look at all of our free resources we've curated from several different people in the analytics community and other marketing consultants.
Barb, thanks very much, and thanks to the rest of your team at InfoTrust for being our technical assistants tonight. Next.
All right, thank you. I was on mute.
That's all right. Okay, and for those of you that want to stay in touch tonight, if you want to tweet or post anywhere you like, these are the handles that we have. And Barb, while people are making a note there, we're going to take just a moment and ask each of you to answer a poll question that our speaker, Michelle Robin, has asked us to put up. So let's do that. There we go. So if you'll just take your mouse and answer the question, what is your current career status? Are you employed and looking? Are you a free agent in transition looking for your next full-time opportunity? Are you happily employed and staying put? Are you consulting, self-employed, always looking for my next client? And then if you would, click the submit button at the bottom of your screen there, of that pop-up anyway. We'll just give that a few more seconds. And then Barb, whenever you like, you can show the results and then flip things over to Michelle while I introduce our first speaker.
All right, it looks like almost everyone has answered.
Okay, great. Let's see what we got.
Can everybody see the poll results?
Nope. Nope.
Oh, I didn't share them yet.
Okay, free agent in transition is the winner. Thank you all so much for that. Okay, you can flip to Michelle now, please. And while Michelle's getting her PowerPoint set up there, I want to introduce all of you to Michelle Robin, who's president of Brand Your Career. Michelle, if you were with us at
Enter your
CareerSmart,
meeting ID followed by pound.
Somebody needs to mute, please. Thank you. Michelle was one of our experts in the crowd when we had our last CareerSmart, which was January or February. Gosh, that seems like a lifetime ago. But anyway, tonight, Michelle's going to share with us a step-by-step plan to land a lucrative marketing position without slaving over a resume and scrolling through job boards, endlessly searching, except for ours, of course, right, Michelle? So anyway, Michelle, you've got the answer to your poll. We really appreciate you taking time tonight, and the floor is yours.
Well, thank
Well, that's a bad time for her to freeze.
Six-figure marketing job, even on uncertain times, without endlessly applying online or tweaking your resume to death. And I love when I get the internet is unstable. So hopefully this will keep on going. Love technology, right? All right, so the game plan for today is we are going to be talking about how to communicate your value to a potential employer so you can land the right job, not just any job, even if you've never had that title before. And then we're going to be talking about how to attract your ideal employer, even when opportunities seem limited. And then we're going to be also talking about how to get paid what you're worth, even if you're being paid under market value now, and how to boost your confidence at networking so you can uncover hidden opportunities without feeling like you're begging for a job. I love when I hear from people that I don't want to bother my network. They're busy, or they're this, or I don't know how to ask. We're going to talk about that too. And how to do all of this, without relying solely on online job postings. So my promise to you is by the end of this presentation, you're going to have a step-by-step job search strategy that will take you from a generic commodity to a must-hire candidate so you can land your ideal six-figure marketing job. So before we totally dive in, I always like to kind of take a pulse of the room. And I want you guys to type yes in the chat if any of these questions sound like you. And I apologize that I had to kind of hide my chat so I could see my screen at the same time. So I will try to get the chat back up so I can see that too. But are you fed up with endlessly applying online and not getting any traction for jobs, even though you know that you'd be a perfect fit for that?
Lots of yeses there, Michelle. Lots. Yeah, it looks like Michelle's video has frozen again.
You know that others, they think you're just lucky to even have one. And I know from that poll that most of you are in transition or a free agent, as I like to say, because you guys are on the market and your talent is needed. The next question, like, do you suspect your current organization is going to do a reorg or massive layoffs and finding new opportunities might be difficult? All right, we got lots of yeses there too. And do you feel trapped by the golden handcuffs because you're never going to have that same pay or benefits or flexibility that you have right now? And we got some yeses there too. All right, and last but not least, we're all marketers in this room, but do you ever feel like you're great at marketing your products and other people, but not yourself? I think that's something that I really hear a lot. Yeah, I'm getting lots of yeses, sometimes yeses. Okay, so I've got good news. The good news, everyone, is that none of these are the problem with your job search. The real problem is that you haven't made the shifts yet. So once you make these shifts, you're going to realize that selling yourself is possible, and you're going to have a steady stream of interviews for positions that you're truly excited about. And your age or your lack of industry experience is no longer going to be a hindrance, but an asset to your job search. And your network is going to expand, and referrals for your ideal job are going to start flowing in. And you're going to be able to command the salary that you deserve, enjoy the opportunity for continuous career growth, and you're going to be able to keep compounding your marketplace value. And you'll no longer have to spend your days dreaming and wishing about your ideal job, because you'll be living in it. And the one thing that I'm going to promise you is there is no silver bullet to job search. There is no silver bullet to getting that ideal job. It's a whole bunch of work that needs to go into it. And the plan may sound simple, but it's not easy. And you do have to make these 5 shifts in order to become the top candidate and land that ideal job. And when I discovered these 5 shifts, it was from working with hundreds of clients and seeing different varieties of results. I had clients that would land in 60 to 90 days. And I had clients that had, all these accomplishments, professionally written resumes, and they still weren't getting the interviews. So what I did is I looked at my clients that were having the results, that were getting the jobs quickly, about what they were doing differently. And that's how I discovered these 5 shifts, because they were all doing these things. And these shifts are not only going to help you with this job change, but every subsequent career move after that. And they're going to allow you to take charge of your career. You're going to be the CEO of brand you, if you've ever heard the Tom Peters or read that Tom Peters article back from 1997, believe it or not. And all my clients, they make these shifts now in order to achieve their success. So let's dive right into shift number 1, which is be your number 1 fan. And now this might sound funny, because you're thinking, what does this mean? Why isn't she talking about resumes and LinkedIn profiles and things like that? And that's because it's so important to believe in yourself, because when you're marketing a product or service for a company, if you're not 100% behind that product, it's really hard to market it. Well, the same thing is true when you're marketing yourself for that next position. And marketing yourself is really hard, because we're humans and emotions get in the way, right? Our thoughts in our head get in our way. That you're not good enough, or you've never had that title before, or no one's hiring, or whatever things are in your brain. Your unconscious mind drives, is 90% of your brain. So it drives a lot of those thoughts and causes those limiting beliefs. So limiting beliefs, like we already talked about, my network is useless and no one ever gets back to me. Or I guess I should be lucky to have a job. Or I'm never going to get these kinds of perks again. All those kinds of things are limiting beliefs and excuses that come to mind. And really, it's so important what is in your brain to drive your outcome, because those thoughts, they turn into your beliefs and they turn into actions which get you to your outcome. So for example, I spoke to a gentleman a couple of years ago who had been a VP of marketing. He was out for 2 years and he wasn't getting, he got some interviews, but he never got the offer. So his thoughts then became, I'm never going to get that VP job. I just can't get it. I'm too old. I don't have the right experience, or whatever it was. So the actions that he started taking were to lower his, lower the level of job that he was looking for, and also expand his outlook, like broaden his horizons, cast a wider net. And it was not getting him anywhere. He was still stuck doing some temporary jobs here and there and not at the VP level. Whereas if his thoughts were, I'm a VP of marketing, I have a ton of experience that's really valuable in the marketplace, and I know that there's a company out there for me, it would lead him to have different kinds of beliefs and different kinds of conversations with his network, and take different actions that would result in the outcome. So it's so important to get this one thing right. If you get nothing else right, get your mindset right. And this is what happened with my client, Steve. Now, Steve was with this was the third time he had kind of gotten laid off, and he saw it coming because his previous 2 jobs before this most recent one, he came in as a director of marketing, he built the team, and then they sold the company and Steve was out of job. So the third time around that this happened, he saw the writing on the wall and came to me literally 3 days before he got let go. But he had a lot of imposter syndrome about not believing that he could find a job that was different than these previous 3 jobs that he had, because he felt like he would be kind of typecasted, and he felt like he didn't have the experience to get to that next level in his career. And what happened with Steve is we helped him get over those beliefs and have some new beliefs in those places. And he was really able to leverage his network, and he ended up landing a great job in 8 weeks. The scope of his role expanded. The company is not looking to sell anytime. So he was really excited about that. And he got like about a $20,000 increase with that job change. So that's why it's so important to have the right mindset going into your job search. So then shift number 2 is ditch your resume. Now, I'm a dual certified resume writer, and this might sound extremely weird coming from me because of that. But your resume is just a tool in your job search. And honestly, the biggest mistake that I see job seekers make is they start their job search by updating their resume and applying online before they put any strategy together. Now, as a marketer, when would you go out to the marketplace without having a whole plan behind it and knowing your target audience and knowing where you're going? Probably never, right? You're not one of those marketers that just throws the spaghetti against the wall and sees what sticks. However, so many of us, and not just marketers, spend very little time on career planning. There was a study done by the University of Phoenix and EdAssist not that long ago that surveyed professionals across all different industries, and that they only spend an average of 1.5 hours a year on career planning. We spend 2,000 hours plus a year at work. So it's really disproportionate. So instead of, just updating your resume and throwing it out there, you should do some things that, enhance your career planning. One of those is keep a career journal. And that career journal should have 2 parts. One is the CAR stories. So CAR stories stands for challenge, action, and results. So what are those projects that you've completed? What was the challenge that you were trying to overcome? What actions did you take to overcome that challenge? And what were the results that you got? And keep a file as you complete projects along in your career. And then keep that file at home in case you get the pink slip one day and you don't have time to gather all the data, then you have it. The other part of that journal is what should be focused on career management and goals. So answering questions like, where do I see myself in the next step of my career? What skills do I need to get there? Am I spending my time on the right things in order to get to that next step in my career? So you should do this on a quarterly or at least a semi-annually basis so you can know where you're going. So when transition time comes or you find yourself in a toxic job that doesn't work for you anymore, you don't have to start from scratch. And then when you're looking for a job, you really need to define your target too. So answering questions about what industry do I want to be in, what size organization, what's the type of culture I'm looking for, startup or an established company, what title do you want, whom do you want to report to, do you want to be a manager or an individual contributor? And there's lots of individual contributor jobs that are 6 figures. You don't always have to be managing people. So what are the types of challenges that you want to solve? And this last question I would say is the most important, because people hire people to solve problems. So if you know the problems that you solve, it's a lot easier to start talking about that with your network. Which leads me to my next case study, my client Ellie. Now Ellie was in the higher ed industry, which is kind of its own beast, because they have real cyclical hiring challenges and things like that. And she had moved to a new city. She had been looking for 6 or 7 months and hadn't gotten any traction. She also had corporate experience in her career history too. So she had started to branch out to look for corporate stuff, and she couldn't get anything there either. So when we started working together, Ellie kind of resisted doing those car stories. She was like, I don't need to write these down. And I was like, yeah, you do. So, you know, we took the time to really do a lot of prep and a lot of introspection on what her career was and what her value was. And this enabled her to get that ultimate job. She was even selected over an interim candidate that was holding that role in an interim place, and really was able to do it in about 5 months and got a $77,000 increase. And that was on top of her already 6-figure salary. So she was super excited to land that ideal job. So shift number 3 is what I call stand out or die. And I don't mean to be morbid, but when you're thinking about the current environment that we're in, and that there's, I think I read stats this morning that there's like about 30 million people out of work. The unemployment rate is something crazy like 19% and growing, as we know. And as we know from the poll earlier, the majority of you guys are in transition. So it's absolutely critical that you have to stand out from your peers and not just be another commodity, not just another marketer that's interchangeable. But when you're looking at the traditional way of job search, which I kind of equate to the spray and pray approach, you're searching those job boards 4 to 6 hours a day. You are attending networking events like this. And granted, they're not face-to-face anymore, but you're on these kinds of calls. You're asking friends if they know of any jobs. Hey, do you know of any marketing openings? And you're sending out hundreds of resumes. You're tweaking keywords. You're spending hours doing this. You're asking recruiters to keep an eye out for you. And after all this work, you get a 1% or less response rate. I kind of equate this to winning the lottery when you're going this direction. And it just doesn't work anymore. The new way of job search is much more like attract and engage. You want to pull those people in. It's like the content marketing and things like that we're doing. So an employer does a search, and whether this is a search online or a search asking their friends, colleagues, and peers about, do you know anyone who, you want your name to come up in those results, because that's kind of the equivalent of having the job offer kind of get attracted to you. So you might be asking, all right, Michelle, well, how do I do this? Sounds simple, but it's not easy, right? Well, one of the things that you need to do is develop an attractive hiring proposition. So the first thing you want to do in order to do that is to set a target, like we talked about in shift number 2. What does that target organization look like? And be specific as you can. Then you're going to identify your unique strengths. So what is the unique combination of skills that you have that makes you uniquely great to solve that particular organization's problems? And then you want to align those strengths with your target, and then provide the evidence, which is the common thread of your career, which goes back to the car stories that we talked about. So this is how you can kind of formulate that foundation to give you a really good way to start searching for jobs and having different types of conversations instead of, hey, do you know anyone who's looking for a director of marketing? Because that's really broad and nondescript and very commodity-like. All right. So the next thing, I wanted to kind of demonstrate this with one of my clients, Kelly. Now, Kelly came to me after she had been in a position for 18 plus years in the financial services area. She had broad experience in sales and marketing and operations, and she wanted to change industries. And the reason she quit her job was so she could have enough time to job search to find the right fit job. And when she first quit, she had a lot of fear. Is anyone going to hire me because I'm not working? Is anyone going to hire me outside of the financial services industry? Am I going to be able to keep my salary? All these things were going through her brain. So once we got her over those thoughts and then retooled her resume and LinkedIn profile to align with her attractive hiring proposition, she was an interview machine and landed in less than 2 months. A recruiter ended up finding her on LinkedIn, and it was the perfect fit for another industry that was targeting to get into the financial services industry and expand their market there. So her financial services industry experience was really relevant, even though it wasn't in that same industry. So it was just a matter of pulling these things together into that branding library framework that all my clients work with. And it was a one-stop shop for her interview prep and allowed her to stand out. Because when you attract and engage, that's what helps set yourself apart from your competition. You make a memorable impression with your hiring manager. It enables you to negotiate a higher salary, because when you are the sole person that can solve that problem, they're going to be willing to pay you for it. So remember that commodities are cheap and interchangeable. A unique solution is not. And a unique solution is premium, and that's going to allow you to negotiate that higher salary. And not only that, but when you keep applying these things through the rest of your career, it'll help you get that next promotion and get people to tap you on the shoulder to say, you know, hey, Leslie, let's talk about this because I know you have experience doing this. So this leads us to shift number 4, connect consistently. Now, you guys might have heard about the ABCs of sales being always be closing. Well, the ABCs of career management, and I say career management, not job search, because this is something you always need to be doing, is always be connecting. And it's just so important because the most effective source of hires comes from people that you know. However, when we're looking at stats on how candidates apply, the majority of people are applying through company websites and job boards. And yes, there are hires that do come out of that, but the chance of you getting hired that way is much less than going through a hiring manager. And if you look at this, only 0.14% of people go through hiring managers to get into that new job. Yet it's 19 times more effective because the percentage of those people coming through the hiring managers is much higher to get hired. Same with referrals. I think that comes out to be 5 times more effective. So if you don't do this, you know, there's a lot of things at stake. If you don't connect to the hiring manager or get referred in, you're going to be in the pool of everyone else. You're going to be forever stuck in the black hole of recruiting and a slave to tweaking your resume and to ensure that you have every keyword like we were talking about before. No one wants to do that. And you're going to be forced to settle for a job that's less than your ideal fit. And you're going to continue to kind of drift, I would say drift through your career in this manner if you don't consistently connect. Because when you consistently connect, you know, you might say, hey, Michelle, I don't have a big network, or I don't know the right people. So there's different ways to kind of build up those connections. One is to give before you get. So everyone knows when you get those address labels from your favorite charity, they're giving you those in hopes that you're going to return a donation to them. The same thing happens with networking. So what is it that you can give to your people, to your connections? It could be other connections. It can be your knowledge. It can be, you know, it doesn't even have to be career related. Maybe you're a great artist and you do earrings or something like that, and you can show them how to make something or DIY, things like that. It doesn't always have to be career related, but when you have that attitude of giving before getting, you're going to get a lot more traction in your network. Then the other thing to do with networking is to work your weak ties. And these mean people that you don't normally talk to. So a lot of former colleagues, maybe former classmates, things like that, because they run in different circles than you. And the people that are closest to you, they may not know the right people, but they may know other people to introduce you to. So it's that second and third degree connections that are really the most often used when you're trying to uncover some of these hidden jobs, so to speak. And when you think about it, your network is probably bigger than what you think too. You can look at your accountant, your hairdresser, your dentist, like all those types of people know a whole wide variety of different types of people. And just asking them about if they know anyone who is in that target audience or whatever it is that you're looking for, that target organization, you might actually uncover some really good connections that way. So my client, Mimi, she was an awesome connector. She was let go from a small family-run winery and had been in the wine business for years. But she had never had experience in a large winery, and that's really where she wanted to move into. So for Mimi, she heard about an opportunity through her network, and it was during the holidays. So yes, hiring happens during the holidays, just like hiring is happening right now during COVID and this craziness that we're in. So she was able to get an interview and get an offer in about 3 weeks' time. I think by mid-January, she had the offer in hand. So it got her a 10% increase in her base salary. And now she's in her dream job, managing 7 brands, and actually just survived a round of layoffs. And I believe she's
I think we lost Michelle. However,
Yeah.
we will start. Bonnie, do you want to?
Yeah, we'll just, we'll move on, and if Michelle gets connected, we'll have her finish her presentation, you all. So we appreciate your patience with this. Wayne, I assume you're with us. Can you unmute yourself?
I am here if you can hear
There
me.
you go. Okay, thanks. Okay, folks, we're going to put up a poll before I introduce Wayne that he's asked us to take. And just like the first poll, if you will please take your mouse and answer the poll and then hit submit at the bottom. So Wayne is asking, how many LinkedIn connections do you have? We'll give it a few more seconds and then Barb will show us the results.
Okay, here are the results of Wayne's poll.
Okay, this is a well-connected crowd.
I would say.
Congratulations.
Wayne, I made you presenter, so if you want to share.
Okay.
Your screen.
You got it.
And I want to give a little introduction here, Wayne, before you start
Yeah.
holding forth. I'm trying to get my video backups because I want to show a picture of your book. Okay. There we go. Anyway, folks, I think, there we go. So I want to introduce to you tonight Wayne Breitbarth, who is CEO of Power Formula. I'm holding up one of Wayne's books, The Power Formula for LinkedIn Success, Kickstart Your Business Brand and Job Search. That's now in its 4th edition, which tells you a little bit about how popular it is. In the presentation tonight, Wayne's going to help us learn how to use LinkedIn to be more effective in a job search. And though I'm not looking for a job, I'm just interested in how to be more effective with LinkedIn, Wayne. So take it away. You've got your
Cool.
LinkedIn poll, and Wayne, you lucked out by not having to drive from Milwaukee to Chicago tonight. So good
Yes.
for you.
I'll tell you what, I like that part of it. And it's so good to see such a big crowd. Wow, nice crowd. I think we got more people because they didn't have to drive too. So that's a good thing.
All
Thanks.
right, let her rip.
And thanks for having me, Bonnie. It's great to be here. I'm really excited about our time we get together. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to spend time. This is my regular 2-hour job seeker class, and I'm going to run through the same topics, but I won't be able to show quite as many examples as I do in a full hours because I have a half an hour. But I look forward to your questions too. So be sure to hold those until our question time. I'm really excited that we got a big chunk of time for that. But when I teach job seeking, I'm like somewhat like Michelle in that we talk about, and she mentioned about apply and pray. Well, I'm sort of the same thing. And I think there's two things you have to be doing these days. You got to use the traditional method. That's the apply and pray. That's the front door. But then I think you got to work the back door. And LinkedIn is going to be your tool a little bit for the front door for sure, but also for the back door. Really hard there. LinkedIn has a lot of great tools to work that hard, right? So, and what I'm going to show you the rest of the way out, after we drop down the agenda slide, I'm going to be on live LinkedIn. Okay, so I'm going to be demoing live LinkedIn. This is being recorded, so you'll be able to pause me in the recording because I go fast, as you'll be able to tell. And I'm going to be showing you free LinkedIn. So I'm going to be using live LinkedIn and free LinkedIn to demonstrate techniques and specific features under all 5 of my best job search strategies. And so we're going to talk about optimizing your profile. We're going to talk about leveraging your network, talk about reviewing your job settings and getting those right, building your target list of companies, and improving your LinkedIn cadence or actions. You know, what are the things that you should be doing? Okay, so let's get rolling and let's go right into LinkedIn. And like I remind you, free LinkedIn and live LinkedIn. Okay, so starting with your profile. So the strategy on your profile is this. There's 2 things going on in your profile. Yes, it looks like a resume, but no, it shouldn't be just like your resume. That question comes up often. But it should have at least the stuff from your resume and more. Why should there be more? Because there's more room. We just have more space on our LinkedIn profiles. And we don't quite have the rules that you got to follow on a resume. It's a storytelling tool. It's a storytelling tool. Now, that doesn't mean I wouldn't have the things match. I would definitely have the jobs be sequential and show up on your resume and that kind of thing. But you can have a little more liberty on the kinds of stories, like where Michelle mentioned car. That's a great idea. Those car stories should be on your LinkedIn profile. I teach that all the time. Is your profile's got to be interesting and it's got to have those kinds of stories. So one component of your profile is storytelling. Okay, and don't be afraid to do that. And don't be afraid to have other people tell your stories too. And what I mean by that example, and I'm going to be showing you a couple of profiles, one for an experienced person in the marketplace and one for a student. When it comes to the storytelling, ideas like this. Have you thought about putting quotes in your job sections after your bullet points that show up on a resume? And these could be quotes from your LinkedIn recommendations. They can be from pieces of paper. They can be from emails that you receive from these folks. That's great story. I mean, to be able to share those things in your job posting, in your job section, so that when HR people land on here, they'll read those and they'll be interested. And that's where you can flush out those kind of stories. So that's an example of how you can take your profile and make it much more lively, much more interesting to people. Now, the second component of your profile, so really good stories, but you also have to keyword optimize your profile. And that's critical mostly because what's going on these days is there's an ATS system, applicant tracking system, that we have to deal with. And it's not your friend. The ATS system is not your friend. It's basically a piece of software, or I like to call it a robot, that's a gatekeeper to all of those resumes coming in, and it's going to spit out the number of resumes that the HR people or the hiring manager want. Typically, it's 300-400 come in, 10 or 15 get pushed out of the ATS system, and the other 385 people are going, wondering why they don't get called. Why people aren't contacting them. Why they're always seem to be part of the 385 and not of the 15 that get called back. When it comes to the ATS, what they're looking for is keywords. And if you have not keyword optimized your profile, you'll have trouble getting through the ATS system. Now that doesn't mean if working the back door, you might have lots of traction in your job search. But what I like to say, the perfect world is a collision of the traditional job search where you work it right and you do the keyword optimization right, and it crashes with the back door as you're meeting people at the organization and networking. So all of a sudden there's a crash between HR and the department you want to work. She's in the 15. She's in the 15, the one that came out of the ATS. So keyword optimization profile is one of the things that can cause you to move up in the search and start getting pinged by recruiters and HR people the quickest. Now, here's my tip for you. Keywords should be placed throughout your profile very strategically, but there are 3 spots that, trust me, putting words in these spots will cause you to move up the fastest, okay? And I've got a worksheet, and if you're interested in these worksheets, feel free to send me a LinkedIn connection request saying that you want these 2 worksheets that I'm gonna show you. And one of them is my keyword worksheet. And this is after lots of research, not because LinkedIn tells me this, because LinkedIn doesn't say anything about their algorithm. That's not who they are. But by doing so many consultations with people, I can usually move up their ranking on a search by making sure I have keywords in my headline, my job titles, and the skill section. Headline, job title, skill section. Now, of course, where do you get your keywords? Job postings. Okay, that's not magic. That's where they are. Now, where do you put them on a LinkedIn profile? Everywhere, or as you're telling your story, but check out on Dale's profile where there are good keywords in this headline. Floated with multiple titles, it's loaded with multiple keywords. Great headline, will usually get picked up by the search engine as long as you're able to guess the right words that they're using. Headline's a hotspot. What hotspot number 2? Job titles. See what you can do with your job titles? You can expand them past your job title to include words that you're seeing in the job postings. And hotspot number 3 is the skill section. So in your skill section, don't just let the skill section manage itself. It's your job to manage that section and get the right words in there and rearrange them and delete the words that don't mean anything and start getting some endorsements by people for your most important keywords. Now, let me take you to a student profile because we have some students on tonight. A student profile, sort of the same kind of thought process, is good stories, great keywords. So take a look at Megan's. You can see some keywords in her headline: public speaking, communications. Take a look at her titles. Notice her job titles. Include some great keywords. She's an HR professional. Notice the keyword she dropped in after her regular job title. Search engine likes that a ton. And then in her skill section, you'll see the kind of keywords that she finds in the job posting, but she likes to public speak. That's usually not part of the job, but she likes to tell people that that's important to her. She enjoys doing that. So these 2 profiles, if you're in the student category, be sure to write Megan's name down, check the profile out. There's lots more detail that I can't get into tonight, but good stories. She did certain things really well, like where she broke down all the things she did at lacrosse to tell the stories she did, not just I'm a student, or some students don't even put a job entry. That's a huge mistake. And then you'll see things on Dale's that you'll really like too, like that little recommendation strategy that I gave you. So those are 2 profiles that you'll want to check out afterward when you're working on yours. So as I move past this first point, optimizing your profile, got to have great stories and lots of keywords in the right places. Don't forget the keyword worksheet. Ping me on that and I'll be happy to get that to you. Okay, the second topic, review your settings. Okay, this is critical on LinkedIn because the settings have changed. They've changed recently for job seekers. And I want to show you my profile to show you this blue box right here. This is fairly new on LinkedIn. This is a setting. Now, I have it displayed because this is for demo purposes. Do you want this box to be on your profile? Probably not if you're working. But if you're not working, you sure want this box on your profile. Or should this box be filled out and only shown to recruiters? Maybe. Could be the strategy. This is a brand new setting on LinkedIn. It helps the recruiters know what you want, both in title, city you want to work in, and what kind of job you're looking for. This only showed up about last fall. I'm going to show you how to get to this setting and another setting that's critical in just a second, but I want to show you how it was displayed on my profile so you can start thinking through that strategy for you. So in the settings section, and you get to your settings by me, settings and privacy, scroll down to your job seeking preferences. And here's the 2 settings I want you to be cognizant of and do something with and think them through. Let recruiters know you're open to job opportunities. That's the one I just showed you. Once you slide that over to yes, that box will pop open and ask you about the titles you want, the cities you want to be in. And then the other questions about part-time, full-time, contract, remote. And then you decide whether you want it displayed on your profile for all to see or hidden just for the recruiters to see. Now, you got to understand, selecting that box to show even to recruiters could come with some risk, because LinkedIn will not ping the recruiters at your company specifically, but if your company hires an outside recruiter, LinkedIn doesn't know that. Okay, so you got to realize that box comes with some risk, but I will tell you the recruiters like that box there because they can do specific searches for people. Okay, the second setting I want you to think about is right below that one, where it says signal your interest to the recruiters at the companies you've created a job alert. I'm going to show you how to set a job alert, but if you have this turned on yes, then when you set a job alert for AbbVie, for example, then those recruiters know that you're basically raising your hand and saying, yeah, you're on my target list, AbbVie. Love to hear from you. These are brand new settings that are on LinkedIn. Now, there are other settings you should be thinking about too, but I think those are the 2 most important ones and all I really have time to cover in our half hour today. Okay, next thing I want to show you is building out your target list. Okay, how do you build out a target list of people that you're interested in working for? I think the very best tool for that LinkedIn will either support the list you're building already, or maybe you don't even have a list but you'd like to, is using the alumni search function on LinkedIn. Let me show you what that looks like. So let's say I went to Northwestern. Type in the name of the school you went to. When the schools page comes up, you click it. It will now send you to the school page. Now here's where the twist comes in and how you can help build your list. Slide down to alumni. And just have to answer a few questions then. You go, okay, where do I want my job? Let's say Chicago. And what do I do? I'm in marketing. So so LinkedIn has gone from 163,000 alums down to 2,600. And here's the list of all the marketing folks in Chicago, starting with 110 work at Northwestern, 26 work at Discover, 22 work at Accenture, 21 at AbbVie, and so on. So how cool is this? You might as well at least think about building your list going, who are the companies in town that tend to like Northwestern marketing degreed people? Here they are. Okay, here they are. Now, when we're doing our networking, like the thing that Michelle mentioned, connecting with people, this is a great tool then to go, if I'm interested in a job at AbbVie, I click that on, here's the 21 people from AbbVie. What should you do with them? Start making some connections very strategically with these folks that are in the space that you want to be in at AbbVie. So building a target list can take place lots of different ways, but this tool will help you build your target list in a very efficient way with the strategy I'm going to find the companies that like people from my school that do the things I do. Because clearly some of these companies love the Northwestern grads in the marketing department, or why would they have 22 of them? You want to be the 23rd. Great tool on LinkedIn, but also a great tool for networking, connecting to. This is the alumni page. It's the alumni tab on the university page. Okay, let me drop down now to LinkedIn routines, improving your LinkedIn routines. So that's a good one because a lot of people don't understand that you need to have a cadence on LinkedIn, and that if you're in the space where you are looking for work, you're unemployed, LinkedIn should be the tool that you're on every day, at least for an hour, probably. If you're not, if you're just stepping back and going, I just want recruiters and stuff to ping me. Well, then you won't spend that much time, but you ought to be on LinkedIn every few days doing a few things. And what are some of those things you should be doing? What should be your LinkedIn routines or cadence? Be sure to set job alerts. What do I mean by a job alert? So a couple of different job alerts you might want to set, or ways to go about building your job alerts. Let's say we'll stick with the AbbVie idea. So when you land on AbbVie's company page and you click jobs, you could scroll through these jobs here, or you can go to all jobs, and now it'll take you to the jobs toolbar, the jobs section, where we now have all of 700 jobs that AbbVie's looking for. But if you want to drop in a keyword in the top, you drop it in and then you hit the search button, and it'll bring back just the marketing jobs. But then you can also open up the filters and answer questions here so that you could tighten that search down a little bit further. Okay, a lot of people don't know that that section even exists on LinkedIn. Okay, so these are the marketing jobs. Now, what do? This is the job alert that I mentioned earlier, that once you set it, to have that setting right in your job setting, let recruiters know at the companies that I've set job alerts, this is the button that you do. That this is the button that you slide over to yes, then the recruiters will know that you're interested. And don't be afraid to turn that button off and on sometimes if it's been a few months, because when you click it, then there's a notification that goes out to the recruiters. Now, just so you know, recruiters, as defined by LinkedIn, when they use the word recruiter, that doesn't mean every recruiter. That means that it's the recruiters that spend the money on LinkedIn. Okay, it's the recruiters that spend the money on LinkedIn. But that's a lot of people yet. Okay, so this is one job setting I'd want you to build is by company. The next job setting I want you to think about is this one. Is a regional search by the title you're interested in. So let's say you want a director of marketing position. And we want to do Chicago. So here's the list of the 543. You can filter those down. I showed you how to get to the extra filters. You can set a job alert right here for this is a category of jobs. Now, while I'm on this page, I wanted to point something out when it comes to the keywords that we discussed earlier. And that's this. Typically at the bottom of any of the job postings that are easy applies, we see keywords at the bottom. This one doesn't have it. Let's try the next one. The employers have the ability when they have an easy apply position to share with you what words they want you to have at least in your skill section so that the ATS gives you a match. Do not walk around that and say, oh, that's interesting. That's a critical step for you to take, is to make sure that you listen to these employers who are so kind to share the keywords with you. Now, I would put those words not just in my skill section, but I'd put them in my headline, I'd put them in my job titles, and of course I put them in my skill section. Does that mean you always are sort of tweaking your resume and your LinkedIn profile for each job? The answer to that is yes. Do I like that part? No, that part stinks. But that's the new world we live in. The new world we live in is that there are these ATS systems, and as you're working the back door, hopefully you'll get through the ATS system with a few things like this. So that's the strategy to improve your LinkedIn routines. That's a couple LinkedIn routines. Now, one more before I move away from this and finish up with leveraging your network, which was actually the second point, but I skipped it. Is this. This is a brand new feature on LinkedIn. Pretty darn cool one too. Is from your home jobs tab under interview prep, LinkedIn now gives us a really neat free tool where it's the 26 top questions that the employers ask. And they didn't pick these at random. This is based on their research. And when you click one and practice for your interview, you can click it on, go through these questions and see what the strategy is, including some videos. Now this one would require premium, but this one doesn't. And there are some tips as to how you should approach this question. You can also video record or write a written response to practice that question. Great tool on LinkedIn. Okay, and it's free. They're not charging for this other than the extra video. Okay, so that's improving your LinkedIn routines. Now the last step, the fifth step, is leveraging your network. Okay, couple of things that I want to talk to you about on leveraging your network. And this is working the back door. This is what Michelle talked about earlier, and I'm just going to show you some LinkedIn techniques to do that connecting. Okay, and get yourself in front of the right people, because the more times you can get profile views by people in the hiring department, and maybe HR, but that hiring department, the better off you're going to be. HR usually is locked into this sort of ATS kind of system. But if the department people and the hiring manager bring up some names to HR, they can't help but listen to what some ideas about some different candidates. So one thing that I would do is, as you're networking, okay, and what do I mean by that? I mean, as you're spending time with your phone calls and things that you're trying to talk to the people in your network who are in the space of your space, they live in Chicago, they're in the marketing world, why not, instead of just calling them, say, I'm looking for work, here's my resume, hope and pray you maybe call me if you hear of anything. That's not enough. What you should be doing is you should be doing specific searches into their network to ask them for some specific referrals. Now, my second worksheet for you tonight was this one, which is a step-by-step approach to exactly what I'm going to show you. And so it's basically taking every networking phone call or meeting, when we can start having meetings or coffees in the future, and coming up with names of people that you think would be interesting, of people in their network that would be interesting to you. Okay, so how would I do that? You do it like this. You put the cursor in the search box, you click people, then you click all filters, and then let's say I'm going to meet with Michelle. She's my target for the day. Not my target, my friend that's going to help me, right? That's Michelle. By clicking that on, I find her network. And then let's say I'm interested in, who does she know that's in the marketing space and has a leadership position in Chicago? Now notice what I'm doing here in the search box under title. I'm putting leadership position titles that are paired with the word marketing. Let me show you that so you get it. VP of marketing, director or manager, all in parentheses. Notice the or is capitalized, the and is capitalized, and the word marketing. And then I want to say people in Chicago. Up comes a list of 67 people. Now, don't take the list of 67 and say, hey, Michelle, can you help me get a hold of all 67 of these people? No, that's not what you do. This is your friend. You got to respect their time. You've got to recognize that some people in their network they might not know, and you got to do this right. And the right thing is 10 or 12 names here, okay? 10 or 12. Not 50, not 67. 10 or 12 of the very best. Go through those, write them on a piece of paper, type them in an email, and then sit down with your referral source, in this case, Michelle, and ask them these 4 questions. Starting with, do you know these folks? Not everybody knows everybody in our LinkedIn network. You have to respect that. Maybe you get a few crossed out. Do you think that these people might be interested in hearing about my job search? No, they're not hiring anybody. You're wasting your time. Okay, then I won't do that one. So you're looking for, if you get no's, you bail out of that name and you keep moving with the remaining people on the list. And ultimately you get down to, with the people that are left, can I use your name? And what do you think the best way for me to get a hold of them is? Because what you're going to do is you're going to reach out to these folks and send connection requests that are well written, but you're going to mention the common friend in that connection request. Now, this is a very powerful tool when specifically you've looked for people at companies that you're applying to. I can't speak highly enough about that strategy. The strategy of doing a search. Let's say I did apply for a job at AbbVie. So I'm shifting gears a little bit away from the specific meeting with a referral person, and going to this strategy of, okay, I just applied for AbbVie. What kind of leverage of my network should I do next? And what you should do is this. You should type the word AbbVie in here, go to the company page. Once you click the company page, you're going to, oops, I didn't press the wrong one there. AbbVie. Once you get to the company page, you click See All Employees. If you know that it's a Chicago position in marketing that you applied for, put Chicago in there. Then you drop down to marketing. And maybe I'd use the same string. And I hit apply. 342, that's a big list. Maybe I'd come back and tighten that list down by second degree only. Hopefully I've already talked to my first degrees, but I could put those in there too. First and second degrees, 29 people. Now, what would I do with that? I would work this list really hard. How would I work this list hard? Talking to my friends here to see if they know this friend, talking to these friends, see if they know this friend. Because our whole goal here is for you to send connection requests to get these people's attention as the HR department's doing their thing with the ATS system, hoping for this collision. Okay? Now, some of you will sit back and go, that's a lot of work. Sure, it's a lot of work. But some people are going to do this because we can do it. Before LinkedIn, we couldn't do this. It was impossible to do this technique. Now we can do it. So some people are going to do it, and I suggest you do it. I've had so many clients maybe give me a pushback on this, sending a connection request to a hiring manager, going, Wayne, that seems too aggressive. Like, what if they don't like me? Or that's sort of crazy. You know why it's not crazy? Because they want to see that you take the initiative to do stuff. I mean, there's going to be 500 resumes down in HR, and only 1 or 2 people are going to follow this technique. And when HR rolls in with their 15 names they're supposed to talk to, and they go, well, I also want to interview this person because I liked what they did. They sent me a really nice note on LinkedIn. They're a friend of a friend, and I want to interview her as well. You just stand out. And that's what you're trying to do, is stand out in this whole thing. You're trying to put yourself ahead of the rest of the competition and not just hope and pray as you fill out the applications. Okay, there are other ways to leverage your network with recruiters and things like that, but my time is about up during Q&A, ask away, but let's just go back to the agenda and sort of summarize the things I showed you today. Okay, 5 things we covered. Optimizing your LinkedIn profile. The summary of that is good keywords in the right places. Where were the right places? Headline, job title, skills, and really good stories. There was a worksheet. If you want to get my keyword worksheet, that's one of the resources. You feel free to reach out in a connection request and ask me. Leveraging your network. We just covered that one. That's how do you get referrals from people? And then how do you leverage your existing network to get in front of the hiring managers at the specific companies you're applying for or interested in working for? Referral worksheet will help you go through that process. Third thing, review your job settings. Remember the job settings. Do you want that box on your profile shown? You want that box hidden? That's one question. Second thing is get your settings set for each company that you're interested in so that the recruiters hear that you're waving your hand. Fourth item is build your company list. The technique I showed you for that was the link, the Northwestern University page, where you use that tool to build out your target company list. And the final thing was improve your LinkedIn routines and activities. I showed you a couple in that space. I showed you how to set up job alerts, not just for companies, but job alerts by job title and region. And then I also showed you the really cool LinkedIn interviewing, 26 most frequently asked interview questions with good insights on how to answer those, how to approach those questions. Whew, so I'm tired. It was a whirlwind, but I hope everybody got a bunch of good stuff on it. And I really look forward to a lot of questions as we jump into the Q&A section. So
Nice job, Wayne.
Thank
Thank you very much.
You're
But
welcome.
now let's remember, Wayne is about to do something very generous for 5 of you. Wayne would like to give away 5 of his books tonight for free. So everybody lift your fingers up over your keyboard, because this is how you can be one of the 5. And hey, Michelle, good to see you. We'll get back to you in a minute. Okay, so if you want to get one of Wayne's books, The Power Formula for LinkedIn Success, for free, I want you to type in, first of all, set your chat to everyone. That's where this is going. And I want you to type in your first name, last name, email address, go. The first 5 will get a book.
All right. Holy cow.
Okay.
Holy
Okay.
cow. Oh.
Now, Wayne, if you want to get really generous,
Oh,
there's
my
about
goodness.
20 people there. So
My wife would shoot me.
we'll leave it to you. I think you can.
Oh, that's great. Well,
That's
welcome.
really great. I wish we could do that for everybody.
That was
But
loads of fun.
we'll see how tonight goes and how the evaluations come back, and maybe we'll have Wayne back again, and
Yeah, and
and
I will take a
we'll get
screenshot
books
of
for
those,
everybody then.
and I'll take a screenshot of those 5 and get back to you and get your mailing address. Thanks for joining
Okay.
that little fun.
Michelle, do you want to finish up? I know there were some questions. Can we do your last couple of slides or a summary there?
Yeah, I wish. I'm sorry that my internet went kaput on everyone. I know you're all waiting with bated. Pardon me?
Sunspots.
I can't hear you, bud.
Sunspot. It's a sunspot. It wasn't your internet. It was a sunspot.
A sunspot. Okay. I'll remember that one.
I gave you presenter rights if you want to share your slides, Michelle.
All right, we'll try it because now I'm on a hotspot on my phone. So here's a word of advice. If you guys have video interviews and your internet goes down, have a backup plan. So with that being said, I will attempt to share my screen and can wrap up. I'll go through the last few slides quickly so we can get to the panel. All right, so shift number 5. I know you were all waiting with bated breath about what is shift number 5. Shift number 5 is all about don't go it alone. Job search can be really lonely. And, you know, we all are working on our careers and thinking that, you know, we should manage it ourselves. But when you have a mentor or a guide along the way, they can help get you around the pitfalls. And this is really how it works when you're working with a coach or a guide or a mentor or anyone like that. They can help bring awareness to what they see from their perspective that you can't always see from your own perspective, right? We can't read our own label from the inside of the jar. That's what a mentor or coach or someone like that can help you do. And then they can help you get clarity around where you're going and help you shift those mindsets, you know, those limiting beliefs, so you can start taking the right action and get the right outcome. And as you all know, there's a real cost to job search. Those of you that are in transition, most of you on this call, you know, it's real for you guys. The average length of job search is 1 month per $10,000 worth of salary. That's from the U.S. Bureau of Labor. And even if you're not in transition, it's costly because, like, obviously if you're in transition at 100K, that's $8,300 a month. If you're in a miserable job and trying to get out of it, and the longer you stay there, it's also a definite cost to you. This is a trending graph that Business Insider did about how much more money job switchers make over the course of their career. If you think about it, 2 people, Sam and Sue, making 120K. Sue leaves her job, gets a $20,000 increase with a 4% raise. after just 6 years, she's $118,000 plus more than her coworker Sam was. So it really makes a difference about how long you stay, because it definitely does cost you. So my client Carmen, she was one that was laid off and in transition, and she made all these shifts. She got over her limiting beliefs about lack of confidence in where she was going. She got over being a commodity, because that was her problem. She wasn't getting traction in her job search, and she really turned into an interview machine. She was in the pharmaceutical market, which is a fairly highly competitive market, and she was able to move from a director level to an executive level job. And by going through these 5 shifts, it really gave her a marketing plan, she said it herself, that was really an enhancement for her whole career, not just this job search. So just to review, today what I promised to go over and what we did earlier was how to communicate your value to a potential employer, even so that you can land the right job, not just any job, even if you've never had that title before. How to attract your ideal employer even when opportunities seem limited. How to get paid what you're worth even if you're being paid under market value now. And how to boost your confidence at networking so you can uncover hidden opportunities without feeling like you're begging for a job. And Wayne showed you some really great networking tricks on LinkedIn. And how to do all of this, without relying solely on those online job postings. And just to review all 5 shifts, number 1, be your number 1 fan, believe in yourself. Number 2, ditch your resume. So focus on your career and your career management, not just your resume. Stand out or die. So no longer being a commodity, enhancing your attractive hiring proposition so you can stand out from your peers. And connect consistently, and don't go it alone. So now you guys have a choice. You can keep on doing the traditional way of job search and keep on going and being a commodity and not getting the traction that you want in your job search and slaving away, tweaking those resumes for keywords. Or you can take some of the things that I talked about earlier and start applying them to your job search so you can get some different opportunities in your pipeline that are more exciting and pay you what you're worth. And here's how I can help. I want to offer everyone here a brand to land strategy session. I've set aside time in my calendar to speak to you personally about how you can apply these ideas that I was talking about earlier to your career starting right now. And whatever your biggest roadblocks are, chances are I've seen it and know how to overcome it. So if you go to brandyourcareer.com/call, that'll take you to my calendar, pick a time that meets your schedule, and I will call you at that time. And right after that, you'll be taken to a really brief form, fill that out, it helps me prep for our call. And on this session, what we will do is we're going to work with you to discover the next steps that will put you way ahead of other candidates and help you attract your ideal employer. And it's absolutely free, totally complimentary. Now, you might say, there is a catch, right? Nothing's for free, and you're right. So you need to be a marketing leader who has, quote unquote, moved the dial throughout their career. So you have those quantifiable results, the ROI, the net promoter scores, all those increases, lead increases, engagement increases, things like that. And then you also must be willing to think differently. So you must be willing to be coachable and think about approaching your job search and your career in a different way. And the reason that I'm doing this is I love giving back. I love doing these talks, and I love helping smart marketers like you reach career nirvana. And I know that you might want help transforming your job search so you can land that ideal 6-figure role, and we can discuss to see if it's a good fit for both of us. And if it's not, that's fine too. You will leave that session, I guarantee you, with some new thoughts about your career and how to approach it. So again, go to brandyourcareer.com/call, and thank you guys so much for being patient with my technical difficulties.
Thank you, Michelle. We appreciate you getting a trooper and finding a second way to log in, and for your free calls. That is really terrific. Both of you have been very generous with our Chicago audience. Okay, so we're going to move into the panel section where we can start asking questions. But the first thing I want to do is introduce our other panelists. Melinda Holm Peterson is president and owner of Melinda Holm and Associates. Melinda has sponsored all 3 of the CareerSmart events that we have had in this fiscal year. So Melinda, I'd like you to make sure that you got your volume on, and I'd like you to take about a minute and tell the audience about Melinda Holm and Associates and what you do for folks in career transition.
Great. Hi, I'm Melinda, and I have my Melinda Home and Associates shirt on. My hair is longer, an older picture there, but I'm president of Melinda Home and Associates. We've been in business for over 20 years here already in Chicago. I can't believe it. My background's all advertising and marketing, and we place people in advertising and marketing positions. And so there are some great tips you guys got today from Wayne and Michelle, and I agree with the keywords. I'm a recruiter specialized in advertising and marketing, and as a recruiter, I do look at keywords, etc. But anyway, keywords are very important in your job search, so I do want you guys to remember that. But we place people nationwide, and I do want to give you guys a little bit of encouraging news. We've had some jobs, which is great. We have a social media job, videographer too. I've seen jobs in the health and wellness space for social media, as mentioned, videography, and then also some other opportunities in terms of new business sales, which we do operate in that space also, and media jobs. So that we've seen opportunities out there, and I just want to share that encouraging piece of news. So that's us.
Okay, thank you, Melinda. And
Yep.
we appreciate your support for all the Chicagoans looking for a new job with us over the last year.
Thanks.
Okay, so also welcome to the Creative Group as a sponsor for CareerSmart tonight, and their representative, Megan Lamani. Megan is the recruiting manager there. So Megan, you're up, 60 seconds. Tell us about the Creative Group.
Hi, so my name's Megan. I head up the direct hire permanent placement arm within the Creative Group. We're a division in Robert Half. So, I can start my video. So my team and I specialize in all things creative marketing and digital. So my passion is really partnering with companies to understand the pain points in the hiring process and then matching them with top talent here in the Chicagoland area. So I work on both sides kind of the hiring equation. So as a kind of consultant, so I help candidates, with interview best practices, and then on the flip side, help hiring managers with onboarding and tips, for companies. So essentially I'm a matchmaker between these dynamic organizations and people looking for work. So it's a very unique vantage point, but I love building successful teams and actually changing lives by helping people find, their dream job opportunity. So love to be a resource, like I'm sure everyone, on the panel is as well, for anyone that's on the market. It is kind of a unique standpoint coming from, being a recruiter. So I'd love to, help anyone out, because there are definitely companies still out there hiring virtually, even throughout all of this going on right now. So I can drop my LinkedIn in the little chat bar if anyone wants to connect, but happy to answer any other questions too. Thank you.
Okay, Megan. Barb, so we'll start with some questions. I have already seen several through the evening, so we're going to start with whatever's up first, Barb.
Okay, yeah, I just have to scroll a little bit because we had lots of activity in the chat today. So Tom was asking Wayne, how do you keyword optimize your profile for all the possible position you might be interested in?
That is
you can't really reword your LinkedIn profile every day, right?
Oh, that is the most frustrating part of the job search in 2020 when it comes to the traditional, I got to apply and pray and hope that I'm going to get through the systems, That's why you got to work the back doors really hard, because you don't want to just be that. But that's the bottom line, Tom. The bottom line is you won't get out of the ATS system if you don't have good matches going on. And yes, the companies want different things. They want different kinds of software, different kinds of experiences, and probably the other ladies can chime in on that. But it's the part of the job search that is so different than 30 years ago, where you just got the Chicago Tribune and you just typed a bunch of resumes and cover letters and dropped them off at the post office, because that's what everybody did. And and then you did just pray because that's all you had. But now we've got this situation where you do need to relook. If it's a job you're very interested in, you're going to have to be very serious about relooking at your resume and your profile before you push apply.
That's great. Thanks, Wayne. I have another question for you. When you're doing your alert by job title, can you set more than just one job title? Can you set one for a director and maybe one for a VP?
That's exactly what you would do. And you get 10 search alerts, job search alerts on free LinkedIn. And then if you're on premium, you get more.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Leslie was saying, so this is like informational interviewing that I did years ago at the advice of an outplacement consultant. And she's saying their acronym was AIR, Advice, Information, and Referrals. I guess the question was, is this like informational interviewing, Wayne? Sorry.
What is this?
Like searching on LinkedIn for doing your filters and looking for contacts and checking your alumni on your college. Is that what you're looking for?
I think informational interviewing could be one of the things you ask for when you find, let's say, people that went to your college that work at the company you're interested in. Yeah, that could definitely be one of the things you ask for or see if they're interested in doing. If you have a specific job you applied for, then I wouldn't hesitate to basically say, hey, I just applied for this job in your department and couldn't be more excited. If you have any questions for me, let me know. Sure hope to hear from you soon. So in that case, but the informational interview could be one of the steps you take when you're just doing your general networking for sure.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Rob is asking a question for the panel. Many jobs are getting hundreds of applications the first day they go up. Is it worthwhile to apply to jobs that are several days old or have hundreds of applications already? Anyone can, does
Do it,
anyone
Megan. You're about to speak. I see
I was
it.
like, I could take that one. Yes, so definitely. So a lot of the times, internal recruiters, I've spoken to a position could be open for a year plus and they just haven't, had the time or they're trying to build their pipeline of candidates. So I would definitely say, no harm, no foul, just to apply, especially if, you have a targeted LinkedIn profile or targeted resume, they'll be picked up by the ATS. I would say for sure, continue to apply.
Yeah.
So a couple of weeks ago, LinkedIn shared, and they don't share much when it comes to their research and stuff, but they did share this. You'll be 4 times more likely to get an interview for the job if you apply on the first day that it shows up on LinkedIn. So that means when you set your search alerts, you get a choice to how quick you want to be pinged. Always pick daily.
Yeah,
I'm Melinda.
go ahead, Melinda.
Wayne, on always pick daily. And I agree with Megan that no harm, no foul, because I've talked to clients and I'm like, oh, you've gotten so many responses. And their comment is, oh, no, I want to see your resume anyway. Or, oh, I need to update that, or whatever it is. No harm, no foul, like Megan said, is correct.
Yeah, and I would add to that too. I'll tell you a story of a client of mine who didn't go through the application. She had seen the job and networked her way in. She knew someone at the company that she had met years ago. And he fast forwarded her resume to that they were already in process of interviewing. So she was even told by the HR manager, hey, we already have some candidates, but we want to talk to you still. And was told, well, we're not sure we're going to take you back. She even got a second interview. So just know that you have a lot of work to do if you do come in late to the process. I mean, for that particular client, she didn't end up getting further than that, but she did get far enough along that they were really actually very interested in her. She was still in the running. So you can come in late in the process, but just know that you may have a little more uphill battle to contend with.
Thanks, guys and gals. Another question for Wayne. Sherry says, this is great info and good advice. Can you share, in reality, does this LinkedIn being sourced for, are they using LinkedIn sourcing for C-suite positions?
Yeah, I think that's not as popular. I think C-suite positions can be out there. So you look for them, right? Type in, CMO or, VP of marketing or whatever. And you might find some. Do I think that a lot of C-suite positions might be using recruiters? For sure, right? Because many times at the C level, the company doesn't want to make a move until they find a really good person that's going to replace the person that's currently there. So I think the C-suite positions, you have to always be working towards, let's say, the president or CEO of companies that you're interested in. The nice thing about it is if they have LinkedIn profiles, you got a chance to get your name in front of them, so they might look at your profile. But I think there is some definite not quite as popular at the C level.
Thanks, Wayne. One more question to piggyback off of that one. Is premium LinkedIn worth the monthly investment? I mean, I will say that yes, it is. I've had it since it started, and I think it is worth monthly investment. But what are your thoughts there, Wayne?
So I think if you're new in your job search, it can be worth it for at least a few months. But this specifically, they do say that the hiring managers, if you're a premium member, that you get a little bit of preference in the ranking where you come up on a list. But I also think there's a section, each job posting below where it says the job posting, it has those skills that we saw. The section below that, that's only for premium, where it shows of all the applicants that have applied, what do they look like? What are the skills that they have? What degree do they have? I think there's a lot to learn early on in your job process that could be worth the money for that section alone. Other than that, I think you can get away without it. You know, the trouble that people mostly run into on the premium versus free in a job search is you can't do an unlimited number of searches. And that can get frustrating to have to wait till the first of the month to do some more searches just to really get your momentum moving again. So at $30 a month, it might be a pretty good $30. Now, just so you know, if there's any people who are veterans or spouses of veterans, you can get that $30 a month for a year for free if you are a veteran or I think it's spouses. Just Google LinkedIn for veterans and there's a way to get that for free.
Hey, Barb.
Yep.
I see one earlier in the chat that I want to throw out to our recruiter friends here. This one says a lot of postings I've gotten more results on are Indeed.com. Why is there a difference in responses on that platform than LinkedIn? What do you all hear about that?
I haven't heard that.
I haven't either. I mean, I know, so our system, at least kind of under the umbrella of Robert Half, and I'm sure it is very similar with some of the other larger staffing agencies, is we have an AI that pulls applicants from, different websites, including Career Builder and Indeed. Ours doesn't cover LinkedIn though. So I have a whole separate, say a huge part of my day is perusing LinkedIn because any job postings, candidate resumes don't automatically sync up with our AI. So haven't heard anything specifically about, I'm not sure, was it Indeed or Career Builder? Yes.
Right.
But that's us personally.
Thank you.
This one, I guess, is good for anybody, maybe Megan or Melinda. So Kathy here did after her interview, she did a 60-second animated thank you video. Is that too far over the top?
I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
We're all like, yes, big fan.
Yeah.
We love it.
Good.
Keep it up, Kathy.
Make it different, differentiate yourself, stand out a little bit. I think that's great, especially if you're a creative marketing person.
Yeah, there's a new feature on LinkedIn that I don't think everybody has yet that does just that you can ping a person at a company if there's a job posting. And I think if there's a job posting, and you could upload a video of you sort of sharing who you are, what you do in video that goes with your resume.
Wow.
And you could all tell we all like that, right? We all like being able to see somebody's personality, their confidence, and things like that. And video definitely has that.
Here's another good question from Leslie. She says, do you have any advice on how to discern if the position posted is legit or part of a hiring freeze and therefore just a resume grab?
I mean, I feel like we're all navigating this right now too. I mean, even I am in kind of my day to day as well, because you definitely see, you know, companies where we're hearing the terms hiring freeze, or a lot of my clients are putting positions on a tiered system. So red for stop, do not recruit for those roles, you know, yellow for we need specific approval, or it needs to be, you know, a longer recruiting process, or we can't onboard until June 1st. So it really just depends.
Yeah, and you might be able to, again, use it as another opportunity to get your resume in front of somebody. So even if they are fishing, at least you're getting your resume over there. So again, you never know, and you just don't know what's going to happen. So in terms of that, if you like the opportunity, I would submit your resume still for that opportunity.
Thanks, ladies. Anastasia asks, can you offer any thoughts on career pivots and emphasizing transferable skills? It seems to be hard to pull off coming from a similar role in a different industry. Many companies don't seem open to candidates changing industries.
Yeah, I'll handle this one. I would say the key for you are looking at those 5 shifts that we talked about, Anastasia, because it's more important than ever to get you in front of someone to tell your story versus just a resume is a piece of paper that tells your story, and it's not all there. Because if someone sees that you have been in, I don't know, the restaurant business, and now you're out of that, so you want to get into healthcare or something else, and they're going to be like, oh, well, you never worked in a hospital before, or you never marketed for a hospital. Well, you need to focus on those transferable skills. So things like people relationship skills, even lead generation. It doesn't matter that you did it for a different type of company, but you know, emphasize those results that you got and have a forward-thinking aspect of that. So then they aren't so, you know, hung up on, oh, that was all in the restaurant business and you don't know anything about our business. And good companies, not all companies are like this, but there's plenty of companies that actually look for people outside of their industry to bring a fresh perspective. And so think about doing that too. And the more that you can market yourself and do content marketing, you can blog and put things up on LinkedIn to get your thoughts out there and make yourself look like a thought leader is also helpful to get the conversation going and have those conversations going where you can add value.
Yeah. For me, like some of the positions that we have seen that people are able to transfer easily, project management, where you can emphasize that you project managed for this industry, you know, moving internally marketing or an agency to another agency. But as Michelle was saying, emphasize the similarities in your background and how your background in pharmaceutical is very similar to financial and other regulated industries, or whatever transition you're trying to make, the similarities that are there.
Thanks, ladies. Actually, hi, Lisa. This is a recruiter from InfoTrust. She says she just wanted to mention that sometimes we keep positions up because we are constantly hiring for it. For example, last year we hired 8 or so analytics consultants. One was me. So it didn't really make sense to close it down. Sometimes we would shut down for a day or two just because some of the comment, you know, just because of some of the comments you guys are making. Sorry, I'm trying to talk fast before the dog starts really barking.
Yeah, thanks, Barb. And that's just something I wanted to point out is sometimes those positions may be up for a while because of that. And like you guys were saying before, if you're building a database of people and you're timid to apply, you never know when the timing's going to line up. You might as well try and give it everything you have, and then it'll line up perfectly, but maybe it won't, but it's worth a try. And thank you. It was a great talk.
Thank you. So here's another question for the panel. How do you optimize your postings on LinkedIn to reach a broader audience and not just within your connections? So maybe when you're posting, so maybe they mean when you're posting an update on your LinkedIn profile.
So the way the algorithm's currently configured, in order to try to get it to spots outside of your network, is you might want to find 10 of your friends, or just pick that number, but some of your friends to like and comment and share into their networks, then it will get to beyond yours. The second thing you can do is go search for content around that same topic, find some of the postings that are taking place, and then you get involved in the content that with people that you're not connected to, and then you'll get people to come look at your content. So that'd be two ways that I would do it. And groups can be a way too. You could go into a group and post content into the group where there are people that you're just not connected to that'll be able to see your stuff too.
So Wayne, I have a question for you on top of that. I use hashtags in my posts. I don't know if that does anything with the algorithm, but I've noticed that LinkedIn has been using hashtags more often, just like Facebook and Twitter. What do you think about using hashtags?
I think hashtags are great. I think they're in their infancy on LinkedIn. We're just all starting to get used to them about a year in. They used to be a long time ago, then they went away, now they're back. So I'd like hashtags. I think there's no downside after you get done with your post. Hit a return on your computer and drop in. LinkedIn says 3 hashtags, although it doesn't seem, I haven't seen that it really affects it, but you can't load it with hashtags like Instagram. It definitely will downgrade the organic reach if you try to really load it down with hashtags. But I think 3 to 5 hashtags is probably a good idea.
Erica asks, what are the pros and cons of displaying the open to job opportunities box on your profile if you've been laid off?
Wait, what was the question again?
Sorry, I'm scrolling. I was trying to find it. Oh, what are the pros and cons of displaying the open to job opportunities box? So when you check the box to say you're open for job opportunities on your LinkedIn profile, what is the pros and cons of that if you have been laid off?
I don't think there are any cons.
Yeah, I mean,
Pros
if you've been laid off, yeah, I agree. Yeah, you're right, Melinda. If you've been laid off, then there is no con.
And then in that same kind of line, do you list that you've been laid off on your LinkedIn statement? I've seen that a lot.
I would put available for work, and I would put that I was laid off. I myself have no problem with it, and my clients don't have a problem with someone during this time period if you're laid off. So my personal opinion is yes. I mean, you don't have to say laid off, but you could put.
Yeah, it's part of a downsizing, right?
Yeah, or you could put, last day of your employment. So for 2020 or, the month and the year. And, you didn't have to reference anything if you were laid off but if you wanted to, as Wayne said, a part of the impact due to the COVID-19, I was affected, and you're not alone, so nobody is going to be upset about that.
No, but in reference to that, though, LinkedIn, if you don't have a current job, and Wayne, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was my understanding that you show up lower in the search results if you don't have a current position there. Is that right?
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, you need to have a current position, but you can put a current position of I'm looking for a job position. Right? That's the strategy behind that. If you're not doing any consulting or not volunteering or something, if there's nothing natural that you could put in there, but Michelle's right, you need to make sure you have at least one present job listed or you will get downgraded on your ranking. And the thing about most people that I talk to in HR, they get that. They know LinkedIn's quirky and works that way, and maybe you guys can chime in, but I don't think they'll go, well, she's lying. What is she trying to do there? It's just, they know that the stupid thing works that way, and you're smart if you do because you understand LinkedIn well enough to do it right. Not lying, you're searching for a job.
We use LinkedIn Recruiter, and I search for people as looking for a job specifically often. So I do want to see people who are marked, open for opportunities, but maybe that's different then. So make sure that you're marked, if you're adding that you are interested or that you're currently working still, I would mark that you're open for opportunities, because if I'm going to come up with a lot of results, I'm going to go to those people first, the ones who are, for me, look at the people who are open for opportunities sometimes. Especially we do freelance too, it depends. I'm just, for recruiters, from my perspective, and for other recruiters that used to work for me who are working elsewhere, they will look at open for opportunities sometimes first. So
I do.
yeah.
Can you tell us your thoughts on applying via LinkedIn or Indeed versus applying directly on the company's website? Maybe, and anybody could take that, really.
I would do both.
I agree.
It's another one of those no harm, no foul. What's the downside, right? If you show up in two places and it might be the one that catches somebody eye and the other one doesn't. I don't know.
That's my motto in the whole recruiting game. Like, no harm, no foul. You might as well. Right. It's better than if you didn't and then miss the opportunity. So especially with the one-click applies on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you're saying there's in all these things, it's like, what's the downside, right?
Right.
Even to reach out to the person that you think's in charge of the department, they got a decent profile, a good number of connections, and all you're trying to do is get their attention. You send a connection request, they're not going to think you're a jerk.
Right.
And you may catch their eye with your nice note, and they'll think that's pretty cool and go, wow, this is a great profile.
Yep. And I think that in terms of notes, I still think a written note, if you do have somebody's address and you can write them a little note or something, but I guess in today's world, maybe that's a little bit unrealistic. But anyway, whatever you can do to differentiate yourself, and a thank you note is always important as a follow-up to any interviews and stuff like that, just as a reminder. Very important.
Rob is asking, does a functional resume actually get any traction with HR managers, or are traditional chronological resumes still the most impactful?
Chronological.
Looks like everybody's saying
chronological. Same. Yeah. A lot of the times we're looking for just years of experience, I feel like, is the first and foremost. Like, I'm looking for, a more senior level candidate, or I'm looking for, a mid-level person. So just kind of knowing when you got your start and what you've been doing. And another thing my clients look for is either job continuity or reasons for leaving. So it's just good to have it all out there.
Yeah, I've had functional resumes, and my clients have asked me to go ask for a chronological one. So I do not present functional resumes. If I do, it's in conjunction with a chronological one. So I would always have a chronological resume available.
Can everyone speak? This is from Karen. Can everyone speak to the hiring landscape in marketing now during COVID?
I'll jump in with what I've seen. I have clients that are interviewing now. So I think overall, the hiring process may have slowed down a bit because they're dealing with uncertainty. But you also have to be prepared to answer some COVID related questions too. Like, what have you been doing while you've been sequestered in your house? And how are you dealing, especially if you're employed right now, how have you been functioning working at home with the kids and the dog and whatever else is going on? So be prepared to answer those types of questions, I think, is some of the things that's being different about this time, obviously being prepared for video interviews. But also, I would encourage you guys to ask the company how they're dealing with the pandemic. How are they treating their employees? How are they keeping morale up? Because you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. So don't forget that, and don't just be an answer person on your interview. It's a two-way street. It's a two-way conversation, and you need to do whatever it is that you need to do to find out if it's the right match for you.
We've seen our jobs, quite a few of them have been put on hold. Sorry, that's my son screaming in the background. Sorry. Anyway, our agency side jobs have been put on hold, except for media. We have a media planning job, and then we have some sales and digital, and we have seen opportunities in the digital and healthcare space, among other spaces, but that's kind of just a brief overview, if that helps at all. Digital, healthcare, and then in terms of jobs, what I'm seeing and reading, and probably everybody else is too, is the entrepreneurial attitude, and to have that in anything that you are embracing in this time. And as Michelle was talking about during your interviews, maybe just some new innovative ideas and some things that you're seeing. But regardless, it's a good time to be innovative and creative in your job search and in just creative ideas that marketing and advertising can grab a hold of during this time.
I would say up until last year and in the first 2 months of this year, I was getting an equal number of calls from companies who wanted me to show them how to use LinkedIn for recruiting purposes as sales purposes. And now I have yet, since the middle of March, had any company call me to say, can you show me how to use LinkedIn for recruiting purposes? But I've had probably 3 a week on sales.
Everybody. We have about 9 minutes left, so we have time for a few more questions. How important is it to be an active poster of articles, commentary, and etc. on your LinkedIn profile?
So I think if you're just posting, I think that's let's look at it this way. The activity of going to find the people at the right companies and trying to network yourself into an organization in the right department, I call that a 10 out of 10 technique on LinkedIn. Simply posting and hoping that that's going to turn out to be get you in front of a hiring manager, it's probably a 2 out of 10. Now, but going to look at the things that are being posted by the hiring manager people at the companies you want to work for and engaging in their stuff, you'll get some profile views by the right people.
Yeah.
And that technique works. So I consider that's part of posting and sharing, but it's specific where you go, I'm going to look at this VP's profile, look at the activity, see if there's some posts that I can engage in. I think that works.
Thanks, Wayne. All right, last question, sorry, because we only have 7 minutes left. The question is, a statement and a question. I've seen job postings that I'm interested in that include in the candidate requirements, must be employed. Do you have recommendations on how to respond or apply when you are not currently employed?
Yeah, I was like, I agree with Lisa. I was like, I feel like I see Tom's question too. Like, I've rarely seen that. And I feel like even now, you know, where we're in a situation where things are changing every single day and we're in very unique situations, I feel like that tells you a lot about the specific company. And maybe you don't want to work there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Don't apply. Why would you want to work for them when you have to fight that battle from the start? They don't have an open mind.
Yeah, I agree.
That was the answer in chat too. You don't want to work there.
Unanimously.
Yeah.
Okay, the last question is the same thing around those lines. How would you recommend pivoting a career search strategy when your goal passion is working in the live event marketing industry?
Yeesh.
Live event marketing.
Yeah. Right now, I kind of feel that's to be determined as things not unravel, but as things unfold. And I don't have jobs in the event industry right now, although we do place people in the events industry. So I can't comment on, they're not going to go away, just what it's going to look like. So your timing may not be bad because you could still look and maybe come up with, you could be a part of the innovation with the way the events are going to look. But that's all I got.
Yeah, and I actually just saw a really interesting presentation from someone that is a speaker at these live events, and he's pivoting his business to do his live event from his home, and he has a whole video set up. So I would actually say to get more involved in the video things, because that, as we know from this, video is not going to go away. Zoom's not going to go away. Virtual meetings are not going to go away. There's a lot of convenience to them. So even when live events come back, and I agree that there's nothing better than meeting you face to face. I'd love to be able to shake hands with everyone here. But, what else can you do in the meantime? So think about, how you can, whether it's setting up a stage where it looks like a big presentation, yet it's a sound studio. And how can you maybe get into more broadcast television-like things that can simulate a live event as much as possible until we're all able to do those again? And we all know it's gonna be a while, unfortunately. So I would say, what other skills can you pivot into that would tie you over until live events come back?
Great. We have 3 minutes, so unfortunately we don't have any time for more questions, but on the slides here, you'll see all of the contact information for our fabulous speakers, Melinda Holm-Peterson, Megan Lamani, Michelle Robin, and Wayne Berbart. I don't know if I pronounced that right, Wayne, but I tried. And at the AMA, this is where you can stay in touch with us, and Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And if you're going to tweet about this, please use our hashtag. I hope you all enjoyed our panel and speakers today. Just to let you know, you will be getting an email with an evaluation for this event. If you could please fill it out. We like to ensure that we're giving everyone in the community and those that are not members yet about quality education and information, and that the event is going the way you expected, and hopefully you learned something today. So if you could fill out those surveys, that would be great. It's very quick. I think it's only 5 questions, and we would really appreciate it. So Bonnie, do you have anything else to add?
Nope, thanks to all of you for being here. You've probably been sitting in a chair staring at Zoom all day. We appreciate you adding another one. And my special thanks to Wayne, Michelle, and Megan and Melinda. Have a good night, everybody, and good luck with your career choice.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.